everybody? It's your boy, Matty B, Epis Sports Radio. It's episode 33. All right, we'll be interviewing my friend, Kevin Mccloskey. All right, we're talking ultra running, and we're talking a little bit of everything. All right, come join us on this beautiful Sunday morning. Epis Sports. Keep showing up.
Wake up! You can't remember where it was. Has this dream stopped?
Broadcasting from the capital of sports, it's the Matty B Show. Right here on Epis Sports Radio. Matty B on Epis Sports Radio.
And swung on and into the air. To deep right center. That ball is high. That is far. It is gone.
Epis Sports Radio.
Very deep as White hits one deep to left field. Headley back near the wall. Mets win the ball game.
A 60-point game for Matty B. Up by 3.
It's over. Eric Decker holds it in. The Jets win in overtime.
Go on, everybody! Let's go, episode 33. Live on Twitch.
Sports Radio. Matty B. Matty B.
Got my friend here, Kevin Mccloskey. We're going to talk a little ultra running and a little bit of extra on the side, all right? Thank you for joining us today. All right, I tried my best to go live on YouTube. Again, I'm sorry for my YouTube fans, but unfortunately, we are still having issues with the live stream. But later on today, I'll have this episode up for you as always, and you can enjoy it then. And play it back however you want to do. I'll be cutting up little, segments of the show for you as well. So just bear with us. I apologize. I hope you got the message in time, that you were able to come here and join us on Twitch. Still working at the kinks. I don't even know if it's an issue on my end, but YouTube servers just don't like me right now. Anyway, I hope you're having a beautiful weekend wherever you are. It's been beautiful weather for us here. I did wake up with a little cough this morning, so I apologize if I cough a little bit throughout the show. I'll try to make sure I hit the cough button in time for that. But today, a very special show, and before we get on, I just wanted to remind you guys, check out episode 32. We recorded the other day. I interviewed a retired NYPD officer. It's a great episode. He talks about his 20 years experience in the force and just some of the things he's encountered along the way. Talks a lot about mental health within the department and in life after retiring and being having a hard time acclimating to society and things like that, almost from an institutionalized perspective. And it's very interesting. Play it back if you haven't already done so. It's a long one. The interview is about an hour and a half long, and then Dub and I talk a little sports. Not a little sports. We talk 2 hours of sports after that. But check out the first hour and a half for that one, definitely for that interview. All right. Thank you for joining us today. This beautiful Sunday, early afternoon. It's your boy Matty B, Epis Sports Radio. This is episode 33. All right, today we're interviewing my friend Kevin Mccloskey. He's a 2-time 100-mile ultra marathon finisher. I know you mentioned it earlier. You haven't done. Have you done the typical Rome marathon?
No.
Like as an organized race, no, right? You've done some personal marathons, in that sense, yeah.
Yeah, I just run 26.2 on just a Saturday or Sunday, for my races.
Like a true savage, like a true savage, absolutely. So real quick, I just wanted to give you a little bit more of an intro for the people that are just joining us now, so that during the post edit it'll be a little bit cleaner. I met Kevin online. We connected through social media, and he he ended up helping me through and coaching me through my first ultramarathon. It was a 50 miler. Right here, I'm actually wearing the shirt that they gave me for it. All right, at the Mohonk Preserve. It was a little. It was earlier this year, and I can't thank you enough for helping me, bro. You gave me the confidence that I needed, that extra little push and motivation that I needed, and just to put me in the right mindset, leading up to that race. And I couldn't have been more prepared in that sense, and just more confident the day of. And for me, it just went as expected. It was an all-around great experience, and you had a lot to do with my preparation and my mindset going into that. So I thank you.
Of course, man. Anytime, man. It's big about paying it forward. So, somebody obviously helped me. I mean, I learned a lot just by trial and error and just pushing. But the books I read, the podcasts I listen to, I took all that in as well, and you learn through doing, right? So you probably learned so much in your first ultra marathon that you can now take over to the next one. Those ultra marathons are a great microcosm for life because it's a lot of problem solving. Like you can either quit and go home, or you can find a way to figure it out and get it done and push through and endure what comes with getting those medals or buckles or whatever you're racing for, or if it's just a personal thing and you're just doing it on your own time. Right. Doing that.
So I know we mentioned it a little earlier. Obviously we were having the audio issues, but why don't you tell us a little bit about I know it's a bit of a repeat, but tell us a bit about your running journey, how it started, where you started with all that. Obviously you played a little sports growing up, right? Too.
Yeah. I played sports actually, a ton of sports growing up. I played every season. When I was really young, I even swam in the summer. But I played soccer, traveling club, whatever. I played basketball. I played some traveling CYO basketball. I played baseball. I played All Stars as a kid, and then I played some American Legion. The Legion team, I sat the bench most of the time. But I mean, I was never like a special athlete. I wasn't overall super talented. But I was okay. I was decent.
Yeah.
But as we got older, kids grew. I went into high school. I was only 67 pounds and like 4'11" when I went into high school.
Right.
So like a lot of kids hit that puberty and got that. And I'm not saying that's why I wasn't a special athlete. But I'm saying, I was smaller, not as strong, and that is obviously there's reasons for that as well. I know I had mentioned it to you. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 5, so I had struggled with gaining weight and stuff like that. But we'll get to that. But okay, so how I started running. So I didn't run. I never ran to run. You know what I mean? So I played sports when I was a kid. And then I would say junior, senior year of high school, I kind of just stopped caring about a lot of things.
That's about the time it happens for a lot of us, right?
Right. Yeah. So also, as far as confidence and stuff, like I was something happened where like I was just so scared to really try anything that there was a possibility of failure that I just wouldn't do it, and I just quit. Like I quit.
Was there like a particular event that you care to share that like sparked that?
Not necessarily. I think it was just me in my head, and a lot of times too. I had I have great parents, very supportive. As a kid, I was sick, so my mom handled a lot of things. She handled the insurance company, she handled the doctor, she handled, she pretty much handled a lot of things, and so grateful for all of that. But also there's also some residual from that. So then, as I got older, I stopped trusting my own decisions. I kind of looked to her like, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And then, you know, not her fault at all, but I those things just got stronger and stronger and stronger as I got older, and you know, I was not confident at all in my decisions. I didn't really believe I could accomplish things. You know, everything that comes with lack of confidence and lack of work. Like I would expect certain things to just happen without putting the work in. I didn't want to put the work in. I took shortcuts. You know, but so that happened. That started around, I would say, junior, senior year of high school, and um, then fast forward, I guess, to right out of high school is when I really started hitting the drugs and stuff along those lines. So I hadn't.
I was about to ask, was there any like drug use during those like junior, sophomore year? I definitely, by then I was smoking weed, this and that. Senior year, I'm doing pills too.
Yeah, no, I was smoking weed. Not much though.
Yeah.
Like it was really making too much of a difference. I don't think as far as my path, but and right after high school though, I started with the hard drugs. I think. Cocaine, acid, basically all types of painkillers, pills, basically whatever I could get my hands on just to numb whatever the hell. And I didn't always even think things were going on and I was suffering or I was.
Right.
But I wanted that fix, and it wasn't necessarily something that like I was getting like withdrawals or whatever. It was just like it didn't matter what it was. Like Thursday it could be acid and ecstasy. Tuesday it could be cocaine. Like it wasn't like necessarily just one thing. It was just more of an emotional addiction as far as me just not being comfortable in my own skin.
Right.
And the drugs and stuff would just take me to a place where all that was numb and I didn't have to deal with any of my problems, and those problems obviously get worse and worse and worse as time goes by. But so now we're talking about, so I hadn't been active. So now we're talking high school to probably like 38 years old. I played in men's softball leagues, played in a men's basketball league when I was 18, but it's funny too because like 2 weeks before I actually went on my first run, you can actually even less than that. Somebody was asking me about running or something, and I was like, I'll never run the run. It's the stupidest thing. I have no idea why. I have no idea why anybody would ever want to run. Like it's so stupid. It's boring. It's this. It's that. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, dude, why are you? Like everybody
try.
Running's like the ultimate, running's the ultimate thing. Like you gotta run, you gotta start things. I don't care if you hate it, you suck. So I actually only started running really because I hated it.
Yeah.
Same thing with reading. Like so this whole kind of journey started based off of a book. And I'll share that book because I feel like this one book, if somebody ever asked me the question, is there one book you'd recommend that you think everybody in the world should read? And that is one of the easiest questions for me to answer. And that answer for me is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich by, who is it? By...
Yes.
And, I'm going to pull it up for the people right now.
Yeah, and it's a book. It was written, I think maybe in the 20s, 30s. And it's a book that has a lot of substance. So
there it is. I have the book right there for the people up on the screen. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You can find it online right now.
So I know I jump around a little bit, but so during COVID, a buddy of mine was giving me work, helping me out a little bit with keeping me busy, so I was getting some type of money in. After my fourth back surgery, I was laid off of work, told to go on disability, yada yada yada. So I wasn't going on disability, but I had to start over. So I was, he was giving me some work, and that's how the book started. He had asked me, are you reading anything good at the moment? And I said, I don't read. Reading's not for me.
Yeah.
Something stuck with me. Whereas like a day or two later, I was talking to him and I was like, you know what? I know I had mentioned that I don't read and it's not for me. And there's more excuses, like I said, I don't read, but I need to read. So I think I had mentioned that I hadn't read a book in over 20 years. So
Okay.
this book, he's like, I got the perfect book, and he recommended this book. And so I'm a slow reader, so I'm just, trying to start new good habits, so I'm reading, and like a week and a half into this book, something bigger than me is going on. Like I felt lighter. The same billboards, the same commercials, the same music that I'm hearing, I was getting a message from. Like it was just, I was just sinking in differently. Like it was like my soul
Right.
was hearing everything, and I was getting a message from everything. Like you need to just work hard. You got this. You know, you can get past this. Like all it takes is some hard work. You gotta, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be probably the hardest thing you're ever gonna do in your life, but it's gonna be worth it. So this book kind of just just flipped my perspective from I'm getting my ass kicked and I'm basically, just dealt a bad hand and I got no good. So, okay, now I'm going to take ownership for all the shit that I've done, the drugs, the not being present in my marriage. I was not, I was not abusive or anything like that, but, I wasn't a good husband. And I'm not saying that, it was all me or it was all her or anything, but, I played a huge part in that discommunication, I guess you could say, and just it just either that and also maybe we just grew apart. People change and things happen. So anyway, so we'll get back to that.
How long were you married for?
So we were married for 3 years and we were together for around 8 years. So it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was, it, and plus I was not in the right headspace. I mean, right before my fourth back surgery, I would have like a Ziploc bag that I just had different pills in it. And, I was eating tables at the time because I didn't know what I was going to do and I didn't know where to start. And again, the mindset of just not changing anything but expecting things to change.
Right.
So
Yeah.
tables and and I'm popping Xanax and painkillers while I'm working and all types of different
Was
things. And
what was a lot of the pills, things like that, more so for like pain management that may have turned into a slight addiction, or was it just
yes and no.
Yeah.
Because yes and no, because there were, I think I injured my back when I was like 25, maybe. The initial injury happened at work,
Okay.
and I had these pills and stuff prior to that, like I was.
Yeah.
So
But it
now
doesn't
the
help though.
back,
It doesn't help because
no,
you're in
no,
pain and
and I
like,
was
oh, I could relieve it a little bit, and then
right.
it become
So
you
there's that
become
excuse,
reliant.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're given an excuse. So now I'm given an excuse to take these things because nobody's
Sure.
going to say anything to me
Yeah.
because like,
Yeah.
oh, my back's destroyed. So,
Right.
oh, you know what? Yeah, it's, he's going through a tough time. Like, just let him, like, that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
I was never responsible with them when I did get them. So, like, say, you get like a regular prescription of, say, 40 pills in a bottle, right? Like a Vicodin or a Percocet or something. Like, and it could be like where I had not taken much of anything for a couple weeks, but you hand me a bottle of pills, they're not lasting. So like I would
Yeah.
say 40 pills would be gone in a day and a half, 2 days.
Yeah. That's a
So
lot. That's a lot. That's a huge intake for sure. Yeah.
but so okay, so I know I keep jumping around,
It's all right.
but
Don't worry about it, man.
so this is all
It's all relative. It all ties into it. So
exactly. So this is all this is just a bunch of stuff just building up and me just ignoring things and numbing them and just hoping they would go away. And as much as I know, things don't go away, they get bigger. They grow. It starts with a little crack, those cracks get bigger. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, it also didn't fall in a day, right?
Indeed.
Started with crack. It started with a crack. Those cracks tend to get bigger. You know, a lot of things too is we don't notice. Sometimes we're not self-aware to the point where we notice a little bit of these things happening. And I'll be honest, you know, I've had a little trouble lately. You know, I'm working through some issues at the moment, but you know, I love your slogan. You know, I just keep showing up.
Thank you, man.
But you know, so I apologize. I just lost my train of thought a little
That's
bit.
all right. Listen, it's a good spot for me to promote you a little bit and promote the show. Before we continue here, all right, everybody, check out Kevin's page, Kevin Mccloskey's page here. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys right now. All right, he's on Instagram. And Facebook as well, right? I don't think you're. Are you on TikTok like the kids, man?
Well, you know what? I signed up for TikTok a while back, but
Yeah.
I don't use it.
Yeah, neither
I
do
never
I.
go on. I pretty much just mostly like Instagram, and you know, some of my things will go on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
But I really stuck to kind of Facebook. What you get on my page is basically just consistency and, you know, hard work. You're not gonna get anything fancy. It's just simple, real me running, just putting work in, and you know, just showing up every day and paying my dues for the day.
That's it, man.
You know,
check him out. KMac Runs 82. All right, I got it up there for the screen for you guys. And you know, when I don't have this up, I do have his Instagram handle underneath his video as well. And thank you everybody for tuning in today. I know it was a bit of a rough start for us with the audio issues, and of course we're not up on YouTube Live, but this show will be all edited and posted on YouTube later in the day, so just check that out, episode 33, okay? And if you haven't already done so, go check out some of our other episodes or some of our content. So we just hit 20,000 on YouTube the other day, so the momentum has been crazy. Let's keep it going. We appreciate all the support. And as always, you can check out all of our other socials, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. All right, Epis Radio, as always. All right, and please hit that like button for this. Comment, do whatever. We would love to hear your feedback. We'd love to, you know, answer any questions for you, whatever you got. So, and thank you, as always. Keep showing up. All right, Kev. You mentioned it earlier. You know, you've been battling Crohn's ever since, you know, you were little, right? Like,
yeah, I was diagnosed at 5.
Diagnosed at 5 years old.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with colitis at 5, and then kind of turned into Crohn's in a sense. Like, you know, they use Crohn's colitis, so it's a little bit of both. But you know, most recently was a colitis. I was in the hospital 2 weeks ago for 5 days with.
I was just about to mention, yeah.
From my colitis, so you know, a little bump in the road, and
that's tough. That's tough, right? Like, speak about that mindset, especially for you. You know, you're currently training, you know, for an ultra coming up in October, and you know this is a big one, 100 miles. You know, you rely heavily on keeping a good training block, and you, I assume your goal, your weekly mileage goal is about 70 miles or more. You know, that's basically where you want to get in at every week, is that 70-mile mark. And
so, oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was like, in order to maintain that, obviously, you got to put a lot of time and effort, and you know, having this little hospital bout of yours, that's definitely not only is it physically, you know, taking a toll on your body. Obviously, you know, that's why it's, you know, you're in the hospital in the first place, but mentally, just having to deal with that and understanding, you know, that, you know, yeah, you have, you know, to train for this race, and any doubts about it, or just, you know, kind of status quo, let me get better and get back into the routine.
So, okay, so when I'm training for, depending on the race, but I like to literally, so the week before I went in the hospital, I think I was at 94 miles.
Yeah.
The week before that, I think I was at like mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
So I like to when I'm training for especially a 100-miler, I like to stay between 80 and 100 miles. So
Okay.
I'll probably get definitely a few more weeks in the 90s. Try to get a mile, maybe a week or two in the hundreds. Just I like to leave no stone unturned when I hit that start line. So
Yeah, yeah.
the reason why I train the way I do is it silenced those voices. A lot of that doubt that creeps in, like, oh, are you going to be able to do this? Well, I put the work in,
Right, right.
so
So you'll be
you
ready.
can't
Yeah.
also control. You also can't control. I mean, 100 miles, a lot can happen in 100 miles. So you can't control all the outside things that may happen or how your body is reacting that day. But what I can control, I'm going to control.
Right.
So I can control my training. I can control my nutrition. I can control, staying loose, doing some stretching. The things I can control, I like to control, and not like the old me where I would half-ass stuff and not put the work into, and then wonder why I didn't pass the test. Well, you didn't fucking study,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
or you tried to cram an hour to study when you should have been studying for, say, the past 8 weeks. Little by little, you would have gotten to that point, but no work, not really a great work ethic.
How
All types.
was the mindset of dealing with the little hospital about? I mean, you were in there for a couple of days, right? And then
Yeah, I was in there for 5 days.
5 days, and
So
then afterwards, you waited a couple of more days. So you basically took a week off, right?
it was
From
actually
training.
almost 2 weeks. So
Okay, okay, yeah.
Saturday, I believe July 12th, I believe was the Saturday, was the day I went to the emergency room,
Mm.
did a CAT scan. My colon, my pancreas, all that area was all swollen. Um, There's a lot going on there, so they admitted me. I was in there for 5 days.
Mm.
Like you just said, I'm in the middle of a training block for a big race.
Yeah.
And I was on top. I could say mentally I was on top of it, but the fact it was weird. Like I was so far, I was aware of everything going on. I was like,
Mm.
I'm not gonna let my mindset slip. Like I wasn't, I wouldn't say I got depressed, but
Right, right, right.
without me realizing, I would say, so I was out for 2 weeks. I would say, when I started, little things started to creep in, like, like, oh, you're losing fitness.
Mm, mm, mm.
Uh, how long is it going to take you to just get back? And that was only 2 weeks. So I was started Googling, like, can you lose however much training into, and the answer is no,
Yeah, no, your body remembers.
yeah, that first week back may be a little tough just because your muscles have been sitting for 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, yeah.
like this last week it was like 105 degrees. So I lost a little bit of the heat acclimation, which sucked because it's brutally hot, 100
Right,
and
right.
even down
Yeah,
105 degrees.
you came back at like a
Ridiculous amount
terrible
of
time.
humidity. Yeah, ridiculous amount of humidity. So I
Yeah,
suffered a
yeah.
little bit last week, but um, you know, uh, I like to do long runs on Saturdays and Sundays. I like to
Mm.
kind of double up or triple up, so like Fridays I'll usually do like 10 to 13. Saturday is usually like 20 or more. And then Sunday I like to get substantial amount of miles, like 15, 18, 20s, maybe even, depending on, you know, um, depending on the day or depending on what I'm doing for training. But
Mm.
so I like to stay. I'm very big. I'm almost fixated on the mileage aspect of it.
Right, right.
So I do some strength stuff here and there. Single leg squats, single leg stuff. Because when you're running, you're always on one leg. So
Mm,
a
mm,
lot of
mm.
the strength stuff I do is really on one leg or the other leg.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I did take a little bit of a hit. Just the confidence aspect of it, of like, and the heat obviously got in my head a little bit, like,
Yeah.
oh man, I was acclimated and now I gotta reacclimate myself. And but yeah, definitely a little bit of doubt creeped in, and and then it was like, oh, like, you know, you're out of the hospital, you should be running. And it's like, you know, I wasn't sure exactly what was going on inside. So a lot of times I do, you know, I'll have like a sprain or something and I go run anyway, or I, you know, I have something going on and I'll run anyway, or like I'm sick and I'll run. And
Yeah.
this time I kind of was a
You
little
have
more
to, right?
careful, you know.
You have to push through it. Obviously, you got to listen to your body a little bit, you know. So maybe push it to that max level, you know. But you know, yeah, like even today for me, you know, I definitely feel like I got a cold. You know, I know my daughter was dealing with something a couple of days ago. Probably got what she got, but you know, I got to get out there. Got to get those miles in. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna listen to my body, make sure I'm good. You know, it's easy to like, you know, especially if you're sick, easy to get a little bit more dehydrated, you know, things like that. So you really gotta compensate. But you're right. I mean, you don't, you know, that 100-mile race ain't gonna run itself, and that weekly mileage ain't gonna run itself. So you gotta find a way to get it in. You gotta find a way to push through. There's never gonna be a perfect time, and you mentioned it earlier in the show. You know, these ultra marathons are. It's the epitome of life, right? There's ups and downs, there's challenges thrown at you left and right. I know it was for me during my first ultra. I mean, dealing with, poisonous snakes and lightning storms
Lightning,
and,
lightning,
had to
rain.
take a shit at like mile 40, like, these things will mentally throw you a loop. And, like for you during this training block.
It could be the littlest thing. It could
sure.
be the littlest thing that creeps in and just explodes in your head,
Yeah.
But yeah, the bathroom is definitely a thing, especially for me with Crohn's. I mean,
Right.
I spend a ton of time. I spend plenty of time in the bathroom, but like through my races, man, it seems like the 200s that I've done,
Mm-hmm.
My stomach has been, I've in the later mileage. The first one was at 90 mile 99.
Okay.
I had to go. It's
really?
pouring rain.
Mile 99?
At mile 99, I had to go to the I had to go to the bathroom. Like it's coming out. Like,
oh my God.
I gotta go so bad. It's not like hold it for the next mile or two, And pouring rain, like low 40s. I'm freezing. I'm 99 miles into this race, thinking it's 100 miles, and it's 101.
Yeah, right.
So
of course, yeah.
That's another little mind fuck that happens. Like a lot of these races, they say like, oh, it's 50 miles, it's 100 miles. Well, the last one was 103. The one before that was 101. So that's another thing that sometimes when you get so late in the race and you're like, wait, I'm almost at 100 miles and I'm nowhere near the finish line.
Right, that's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, now I got some more enduring to go. Your body's exploded. I remember my last 100-miler, 60 miles in, just like I either developed like a bone spur or something, but like my ankle was on fire, destroyed. And,
yeah.
So, okay, it's like we were just talking about, they just throw challenges at you that you don't know that are coming. And, so I had to think for a second, and it was pitch black, you're running through the night. And, so what can I do to kind of keep it moving? And, I found a big tree branch and started running with a tree branch on the left side just to take a little bit of the hit off of my ankle. Eventually you get in that mode where the pain's still there, but the pain voice kind of silences a little bit, and you just keep going and going. And yeah, it's painful. Life is painful, right? We talk about
sorry to cut you. You never run with trekking poles, for the trail runs? No.
No. I have a pair. I just never used them.
Yeah. Not a fan of it. I brought mine for the last one. I used it on the last section. For the first 3/4 of the race, I was fine. Didn't use them, but I really, because I felt my body like kind of, breaking down a little bit, and especially after dealing with that rain, they for me it came in handy. I was having an issue with my hip and all that, so definitely helped me through those last. I think it was like 15 miles, or it was a little less maybe. Yeah.
I should have. I should have brought them to my last race because definitely would have helped in the later stages of the race.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up almost using just makeshift ones, like I said, like miles 60 to 103. Not the whole time, but a lot of the time I was just using branches that I had broke off.
Yeah, that's a good call. Like that's a good,
just,
in the
just
moment.
to help.
Yeah.
You know, there's things you just got to try to figure out. You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
because I don't know if this is necessarily the greatest thing to say, especially to your mother, but I remember saying to my mom, like, I'm not coming off this trail for anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm either coming off in a body bag or I'm getting my buckle. So, and, I'm not saying that I'm this hardcore individual, but I don't know. It's never gotten to that point where like it's been like so bad that, I mean, don't get me wrong, it gets bad, but like
Sure.
I've never been to that point where like I feel like, okay, am I gonna die here or am I gonna, I haven't, so I don't know exactly how I might react in that situation, but I go into these races with the mindset of I don't care if my leg's falling off, I'm finishing this race. So,
I mean, to be honest with you, that's like the ultra runner mindset, or so I've come to find. Like the road marathon, or that mindset is completely different, man. Like even though for some people running a road marathon, we know like it's a really taxing on your body hitting that pavement for 26 miles, but
marathons are no joke.
It really is no joke. It is a mental fuckery in its own, and it takes a lot to, to finish one, no doubt. I'm not diminishing it in any way, but that ultra marathon mindset, it really does take that little bit of level of crazy of, like you said, I'm not like coming off this trail, and to really get through that, to really push through it, because you hit that, in a marathon, in a road marathon, you hit that proverbial wall like usually around mile 20. That's what a lot of people say, right? A mile 20 comes, and it really starts to, take a toll on your body, and the mental fuckery starts to happen. For an ultramarathon runner, it is different. It could come in waves. It could come in certain sections, certain obstacles you got to overcome. But the overall mindset is of, I call it a little bit of a crazy mindset, because you got to tap into it.
It is.
You gotta be wanting to hit that proverbial wall. Like, you gotta
You're
almost
expecting it.
right. You're
You gotta
almost
expect it.
yeah.
Because,
I think with a lot of road marathoners, they try to prevent from hitting that wall, and it's like, nah, man, like let's go. I wanna get in that space. I wanna get in that pain game. And really, fight through that. That's where the magic happens. That's where the perseverance happens.
that's it. Yeah, it's kind of where you kind of learn who the fuck you are too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Stuff happens like that.
No doubt.
Not only just from training, you build a lot of that belief up in training. Like these training runs are not easy. Some people think, oh, you've run 100 miles, so 20 something miles might be easy. No, it's not easy.
No. Yeah, and right, because you never know what happens comes race day, and you could be ailing, things like that. So it just could derail, months and months and months of just training, by the littlest thing, But the marathon is in that training block, is in that mindset, But I found with a lot of runners, man, like it's some they shy away from that wall, or they try to almost like delay it, and it's like, nah, man, push through. You got to push, especially to get better. Some people, they may be content with, their pace and how they run and, the mileage they're hitting. That's fine. Everybody's running their own race. You come to learn that as well. And then there's nothing wrong with that. You and me were talking about it privately the other day, how, somebody even listening to us might get a little intimidated by the mileage that we're putting in a weekly. And, I know years ago, like you mentioned yourself, like I hated running. Like I grew up playing sports, grew up playing baseball, but when my coach told me to run, I fucking hated it. But and only up to a couple of years ago.
Running was a punishment.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You guys want to go you guys want to joke around during practice? Okay, sprints or
Right. That's exactly
the
what they
line,
used to do.
touch the
Yeah.
line, touch the line, right?
Yeah, you hate it. Do the suicides and shit like that.
Yeah.
Run a lap around the baseball field.
Yeah.
And they used to make me run laps a lot because I was a pitcher. So theoretically I was good in recovery for a pitcher, and at least that's what they used to say. I don't know how much merits in that, but only up until a couple of years ago, am I running my first mile, and I'll never forget. I barely fucking do it, huffing and puffing. Just quit smoking cigarettes. Smoked cigarettes for 10+ years, and I was like, shit. The thought of running a marathon, literally an ultra marathon, was way beyond my thought process. I didn't even think. Now I'm talking with you. You've offered. You graciously have given me the invite to pace you on an ultra marathon next year, and I'm pretty sure I'm taking you up on that if this offer's still out there, or I might just join you on that.
Yeah.
But here it is.
Why don't we just fucking run it together?
Yeah, right, exactly. So, here it is, and it's crazy. But for the person that's just starting out, don't diminish it. Don't diminish your accomplishments, because man, 100%. Running that 1 mile.
A mile is a mile, no matter how fast it's run or how slow it's run.
Absolutely.
And just for the people listening too, like, I couldn't run a half a mile when I started.
Right,
I literally could not run half a mile when I started.
Yeah.
Day one, like we were just talking about how I started running, it was another thing of, okay, I hate running, but running is I didn't know all the mental and all the other benefits that came with it. I was thinking of more as a physical thing. But yeah, that was another thing. I said, you know what? Running sucks. I hate it. I need to start running.
Yeah.
And so when I started running, I think it was like literally 0.3 of a mile, and I was fucking dying.
Yeah.
That first run started this whole thing, a lot of this whole thing. I mean, I would say the book really started this journey, but when I really started the running, and then, so the first book, Think and Grow Rich, I would say, I tell people, like, started a little bit of a fire in me, you know what I mean? And then when I finished that book, I started reading David Goggins' book, and it poured gasoline on that little fire that started, and I just went from 0 to 100.
How you like the David Goggins book? I haven't read it. I was I'm sure he's come out with multiple books, but
I read his first book a couple times.
Okay.
His second book I've also read, but so Goggins has a big part in my story. So that night that I called myself out, so I told you prior, I had been reading this book for like a week and a half, and I noticed things were starting to change. I didn't know what was going on. I remember going into my friend's office like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I feel lighter. Like, all of a sudden, like, I'm getting messages from everything. Like, it was like something way bigger than me. It was literally an out-of-body experience. And so this January 25th, I forget exact day, but something just in my brain told me to go on YouTube, and I went on YouTube, I typed in motivation, and what came up was two David Goggins, where he was a guest. Where he was a guest on a couple podcasts.
Gotcha.
So I watched the first one, and like the old me, I used to, like, somebody would send me something that might be a good read or something, and I'd read a couple lines and dish it out, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna sit through this. So I sat through this first episode, and I'm crying. I'm like, I feel like he's literally just talking about me. You kind of tell people sometimes what they want to hear. You take the easy road. You don't work hard. You have a bad mindset. All that stuff that happened to you prior, or that you did upon yourself. You look at them all as faults and like, oh, I'm broken. But, what I learned from him a lot was, I can use all that prior shit as fuel.
Yeah.
So he talked a lot about how running really changed his life. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just start running. I went out for my first run that night. I watched both podcasts that I saw on the channel, and like I can't thank him enough for just his message and just I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do, but what I could do was start. So a lot of times you had mentioned earlier, a lot of people we wait for that perfect time. The perfect time's never going to come. The perfect time is now.
Mm-hmm.
The quicker you start, the quicker things start to move in the right direction. So I went out for my first run that day. The second day, I woke up. I went out for another run, and I think maybe I did maybe a tenth more. Threw up immediately, and I was like, okay. So I still have not yet run a half a mile.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so it was during COVID. I had I had some extra free time, and it was like, all right, well, how can I fast track this? So I started running. I started running in the morning, and then I started running at night, and then I was running 2 a days for
Yeah.
probably the first 8-9 months that I started doing it until I was getting to
That's pretty
a.
good, man. Yeah, you're
So I
pushing.
started running, and and I got injured like 6 weeks in, so I went from
Yeah.
not running at all. 6 weeks in, I ran literally from never running. I ran like a 76-mile week. It's
Yeah,
only,
that's too
and I
much of
had
a
been
jump.
running, and my shins, I had like multiple like little tears, and my leg swelled up. I could barely put my shoes on,
Yeah.
and I was still running on it because
That's
I was
correct.
like, oh, I can't. I was in that mindset where when I first started this, man, I would have literally set myself on fire if I knew it was going to help me think differently and
Yeah.
help me mentally and physically. And
Maybe a little too much Goggins right there, man.
yeah, so this shin injury like swelled up my whole leg, my ankles, and I'm
Yeah.
still running. And I'm still running on it. And now I'm at the point where now it just goes numb. And I'm like, okay, fuck it. Then it goes numb. Now I can just continue to run on it. And it
Yeah.
just got worse and worse.
Man.
So I finally went to a doctor. And this doctor's like yelling at me, like, what are you doing? I have ultra runners who don't run that mileage, yada, yada, yada. And I looked him like dead in the eyes. He's like, why are you doing this? And I looked him dead in the eyes. And you could tell I was kind of like, I've been listening to so much of this push,
Yeah.
work hard. I looked at him and I said, I don't want to be average or below average anymore.
Yeah.
I want to be something. He's like, he didn't like the answer, and
Mm.
what if you permanently injure yourself? Yada yada yada. So make a long story short, I left the doctor's office. I gave myself, I would say, like 4 or 5 days, but I was biking, so I was like, I got to do something. I can't be that person. Like I was building a new person, so
Yeah.
you got to become a creature of habit, right? So you build healthier new habits, and you continue to do them, and then they kind of become second nature in a sense. So I was in this my brain was on fire at this point of I just wanted whatever was hard. I wanted to prove to myself that I could get through this, get through that.
Yeah.
So um so I gave myself, like, I would say 5 days to a week of no running, just to kind of let the swelling come down and to see, so I didn't create even a worse injury. So I started
Sure.
biking. I was biking every day. I was still going to the gym, lifting, but I just wasn't pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
So that stuff went down, and yeah, like I've been pushing decent mileage kind of ever since. I mean,
Yeah, I'd say so.
you like some days, you get to the point where some people are like, 3 miles would be good enough for today.
Yeah.
I've I've worked hard this week, yada yada yada. No, if you want to get better, 3 miles maybe not pushing yourself. For some
Right.
people, it's really
Right.
pushing themselves.
Yeah.
For another, a mile is really pushing themselves. But if you're just settling for the bare minimum, uh, you're not going to get to that point that you're really trying to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean that some days you shouldn't, dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
With running, building your aerobic base and running is super important. So when you're building that base, you really want to run for a majority of your runs slow, like slower than you would even think, just to build that aerobic base so that when you get to cruise control, your body kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah,
But
I've had to learn that
there's
the
other
hard way with
reasons.
my journey, you know.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I've had to learn that the hard way with my journey. I've
Yeah.
had to really learn how to slow it down, like, because I was like so reluctant in early on. I was like, oh man, I don't want to run like a 10-minute pace, but like realizing that like, yeah, that's like my comfortable pace. I was like, you know, my like talkative pace, and that,
Yeah, that's what I was
you
just
know,
gonna say. When you're building that aerobic pace, you want to be able to talk. I mean,
yeah,
you hear a
yeah,
lot of things online about zone two, you
mm-hmm.
know, zone two, but zone two sometimes is hard to stay in
It
unless
is, yeah,
you're running, walking, and running and walking because when you're moving, especially when you're pounding the pavement, like
yeah,
running, CrossFit, stuff like that, nothing kind of jolts your heart rate like those things.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like even when I'm biking, because I have a strong aerobic base and I do so much running, like hard to get my heart rate up really high on the bike. Now I'm sure I could, if I turn the resistance all the way up and basically pedaled in mud,
sure, yeah,
I'm sure that would help. But I'm not really, So I do still bike at times.
mm-hmm.
It's great to, it works different muscles. Also, it does help. You can also stay in zone two at a comfortable pace if you're biking.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not saying by any means biking is easy.
yeah,
Those dudes are savages as well. And their heart rates are getting up because they're pushing so much. Um, I'm pushing, but I don't have the resistance turned all the way up. I have the resistance turned up, just, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So it's a little harder at times to, the elliptical is another good one. I don't have an elliptical, and I
mm,
currently don't even have a gym membership because I do my other stuff at home, and a lot of my stuff is really just getting miles. Couple tempo runs, couple slow runs,
mm-hmm.
couple medium runs. Yeah, just for me, a lot of it is I'm big on mileage. Depending on the course or the terrain, I may do more hills.
Yeah, yeah,
I have a treadmill that also, if I really need to get some climbing in, I can turn that all the way up and run on that.
right.
But I don't really use my treadmill much. It's more of
Definitely
an
nice to
ornament.
have, though. Yeah,
Yeah, it's more of an ornament, but
yeah,
it's whereas like mentally me, like if it's 105 degrees outside, I can't run on the treadmill because that
mm,
would be me taking the easy route in a sense,
mm,
whereas I'm running.
mm.
It. So the treadmill kind of sits for a while. It has its purpose when it's needed, but
Mm.
I
I'm kind of with you
typically
though, man. I'm, even if it's raining, like, no, like I'll go out there. If it's cold, I got a buddy of mine, good runner, marathon runner, finished New York City Marathon, but he like, wintertime kind of like stops running outside. Will only go to gym, and I'm not knocking it. It's a choice, you know what I'm saying? I get it. Like you don't have to subject yourself to the elements and shit like that,
everybody has different goals and different
for
things,
sure.
and
You
that's what
know.
he wants to do, and
But I love it. I love being out there. I love that perseverance, and because I personally I feel like it's just gonna make you better, especially
yeah,
come if you're building towards
yeah,
something, a race,
yeah,
because
right,
chances are you're not gonna be running in -5 degrees. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
or yeah. You'd be running in a nice, cool temperature. Anybody that's running in August right now, God bless you. But you know,
Yeah,
you know, but
yeah.
like that's it. Sometimes you got to do it. You the other day, I just I had one of your clips up there as you were talking, um, and you're running. What the real feel was like 105 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, that's absurd. I'm saying like it, but and of course. By any means, you don't have to subject yourself to that, but it's that mindset
No,
of
it's a
pushing
choice.
yourself,
It's a
and
choice. But I
you know,
also, when I started this whole thing, I remember I said to myself, um, I'm not going to let outside interference determine what I'm doing.
right?
So
That's it, and you made
if
that
it's
mindset, yeah. You laid
if
your
it's
bed with that.
pouring
Yeah.
rain, like I've run it in state of emergencies, blizzards, whatever. But you know, if there's awful weather outside, like okay, you have to go the fuck outside and run. Like it's not. I don't give myself. I don't negotiate with myself anymore.
Right.
You know?
It's
That doesn't
about
mean.
it's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Like doing, those uncomfortable things, That's it, man, And like you said, it's not a negotiation. Is it, you sign that contract already, we're ready within yourself. It's something that kickstarted my whole journey with running and everything, doing the ice baths. It was like, yeah, this shit's uncomfortable. This shit sucks. Like, at first I didn't really like enjoy it. I didn't understand.
You're not supposed to enjoy it. That's the point.
Right. It was like, okay, it's, I liked the feeling it gave me at times, but just especially the contract I signed with myself, I didn't do it for social media clout. I did it for like, no, man, you got to do something every fucking day that you don't want to do. That's going to get, create this level of discipline that you just never had before, and that kind of culminated into the running journey. And it was like, and when I first started running, didn't fucking like it. Didn't think I could, I ran walk my first mile, and it sucked, I was dying, my body's hurting, but you know what? I showed up the next day. I did what I had to do, kept on showing up. And it just created that level of discipline. It wasn't always perfect. There was days that I may have, dialed it back, or but it's a journey, right? It's a journey in itself, but it's that mindset, man. You sign that contract with yourself. I came into this year saying, no, I'm gonna run at least 4 marathons. You know what I'm saying? And I'm completing that goal. I don't care. What it takes,
You ran a 50-mile ultramarathon this year.
Right,
so,
which I didn't really, that wasn't something that was necessarily in the cards a while back, but it was like, I just, having, wanting to push myself further, wanting to do more. I had a lot of people doubt me too. It was interesting, like a lot of friends, like it was like,
use it all for fuel, baby.
Yeah. I wasn't, so much to like, but I understood it because, like even there was a slight doubt in myself because I don't know if, I talked with you a lot about it. I talked with you a lot and you was like, I didn't know whether or not I had given myself enough time, things like that. And ultimately come to find that not only was I ready, but I had more in the tank. You know what I'm saying? Like it was there, and that's the beauty of it. Right? You push through
think
those
about
walls.
It. 3 weeks before that, you were thinking about like, oh, did I put the training in?
Yeah. Totally.
And then, so that's a lot of things too. Like we talk ourselves out of things a lot of the times. Like we don't look for the reasons to do things.
Yeah.
So like there'll be days where like I'm exhausted. I feel like shit. And your brain's like, oh, maybe you could use a day off. And then you have one of your best runs. So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Like sometimes the day that you may feel like is the hardest to get outside, and then you finally push past that and get through it, could be one of your you could PR. You know, so
and that goes with a lot of things. It's not just the running. It's if you're trying to go to the gym and lift more weight and things like that, and hit a new weight goal, or you're trying to lose weight, things like that. Doing whatever it is, keeping track of your diet, going out there getting some exercise, but the discipline that goes into that, the mindset that goes into that every single day of showing up, and no matter what, obviously listening to your body is very important. You don't want to further injure yourself, so that way, if you're injured, you're no good to anybody, good to yourself. You need your health. That's always important. That's first and foremost. But
you got to kind of know the difference between being beat up, and actually injured.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm not the best with that either. Like sometimes I know enough to kind of dial it back a little bit, and sometimes I don't. Like I had gout, I had gout a couple months ago. No clue how.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most painful things. Like it was excruciating. But before I knew I had gout, I was just running on it every day. I mean, it hurt to the touch. And it's excruciating, but it was something that I figured, okay, I could get through this.
Yeah.
And I ran like an idiot. I ran with a weighted vest on as well, and like I made it worse. So then I ended up in a walk. You know what I mean? I ended up in a walking boot for a little bit. So that's my own
Yeah.
doing. You know,
Yeah.
I don't we got go and just got it looked at just to be on the safe side and not continue to pound on it. Who knows? It might not have, but it stuck around for a while. I think really the needle and the cortisone shot they gave me between the bone or whatever, I think that actually did more. So
Mm.
I was running with pain in my foot for probably like 2 months. I mean, it got better as time went on, but
Right.
I'd have run, and then the next day the pain would come back, and I didn't. I took the initial time off that I needed, like whatever it was, 4 or 5 days, just to give it a chance to kind of heal. And then once I was done, I was on medicine, and then I was running on it again.
Mm.
But it would get better. I would bike a little bit, run, bike. And then at the point I was like, well, it's just going to eventually heal on its own. And then just kept basically running with it. But it wasn't as bad as it was when it first started. It was extremely painful. And I didn't
Talk
know much about gout. That was
talk.
just something old people got. And, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Talk a little bit about your fueling plan, things like that. What do you do on your daily runs? For fuel and hydration. What do you do during the races? What's the approach there? For you.
okay. So like typical, say, Saturday long run, I have electrolyte tablets,
Mm.
capsules, if you want to call them. Um, I usually stay on top of those. I probably take a pill or two or capsule or two every 45 minutes to
Okay.
an hour. Um, when it's really, really hot, I make sure that there's like whatever route I'm taking, I make sure that at least every 3 to 5 miles, there's a place where I can get some fluids.
Okay.
Um, a lot of times I'll just put my hydration pack in. I'll add some Tailwind. Tailwind is a supplement that has electrolytes plus it's also got carbohydrates, calories. So it gives you something to burn.
Right.
Um, I tend to eat eat. I don't eat much on my runs. Like my training runs. I don't know if that's subconsciously something I kind of do on purpose a little bit, where it
Mm.
kind of makes training a little harder. Not necessarily. I'm not saying that's what I do, but maybe so, like because I would say the other day I think it was 105 degrees, and I got busy at work. I got caught up, and I didn't eat, my own fault. And then when I got home, I wasn't thinking about that aspect of it. I just put my shoes on, put my things, and went out. And then, 4, 5, 6 miles in, there's nothing in the tank.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not only am I losing all my electrolytes and fluids, but I have nothing to burn. So it was a dogfight.
Right.
And it was only 10, it was only 10 miles. So, and I don't say only 10 miles because 10 miles is, but
I know what you mean.
it's relative to what I'm training. So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that 10 miles is nothing, but in a training block, running for 100 miles, running for a 100 miler, 10 miles,
No, and
you're gonna do 10 miles.
theoretically,
You're gonna
like
do 10 miles
theoretically,
10 times.
with a good
But
meal, prior to that, what I'm saying, like, you really shouldn't, like, for you and me, really shouldn't have to, like, eat something for a 10-mile run. Like you said, probably electrolytes, get your, salt tablets in, whatever you need to. I like to do the gels, things like that. But actually, like, having, like, a food or a nutrition bar, whatever it is, whatever helps you get you through,
food is definitely
you know.
food, calories, and electrolytes are paramount.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
one of the things, I feel like I heard it way back before, or when I first started running ultras or whatever. But the unwritten rule, basically, whether you're running in the heat, whether you're doing any type of substantial mileage for yourself, whatever that is for you, you should really. And when you get into the longer ones, you should eat when you're not hungry and drink when you're not thirsty, because
Yes, yes.
of those things you don't want to get to the point where you're so far behind that you're trying to play catch up, and then you start cramping, your body starts turning on you. You have nothing to burn, so now you're burning muscle. Like
That
you
was
want to. Yeah, you need calories, especially when you're running in the summer. Like you constantly should have fluids coming in.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I took away from our conversations prior to the ultra was really just that. It's like you don't want to wait till you're feeling to that point of dehydration or being malnourished. Like you really want to get out ahead of it, and you don't feel as depleted. You're gonna hold steady for longer. It was definitely a game changer for me using that tailwind as well that you recommended. Anybody that does any type of endurance sport or just sport in general, or you're going walking for a long time, you're going hiking, things like that. Tailwind is a great way to replenish without having to actually eat something.
Tailwind's great, and
Yeah.
a lot of that thing too is like I had explained to you when we were on that call, and I was like, you were like, oh, but you spent a lot of time on your feet. That's part of training as well. So,
Yeah.
I think just because they're not running, well, if you're hiking, you're doing a 4 to 6 hour hike, you're on your
Yeah.
feet for hours and hours and hours. That counts.
Hell
That
yeah.
all. And even if you are on top of your fluids and on top of your diet, like stuff still may come up. Like, I mean, I've had some of my runs where, I'm taking electrolyte tablets, I'm drinking, I'm even eating a little something, and I'm still cramping. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't plan for what your body's gonna
Sure.
reject or take, or how your body's gonna respond on a certain day. So, you can control what you can control. The other stuff you just got to figure out as you go along. You
Absolutely.
know. Um, So yeah, fueling's super important. And I would say in the heat, especially, double up on those electrolytes. If you can supplement some electrolytes as well, because it helps with the heat stress, helps control some of the lactate. Because, that first run in the summer when it was like 100 degrees, like
Oh
you're
yeah.
suffering. You're
Oh yeah.
suffering. Your legs are on fire. And I'm used to running 80, 70, 80, 90 mile weeks, and I'm struggling breathing on a 5 mile, 6 mile run. It's 100 degrees. Like,
Yeah.
but so,
Yeah, I can't wait for
that
the
heat,
days of 40, 50-degree weather and
yeah,
just
baby.
nice, cool
Yeah.
and
So,
crisp, man.
yeah, absolutely, man. Those days you got to cherish.
Yeah.
But so like yesterday it was like 80, I think like around low 80s.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much humidity.
No, it was
So,
nice. Yeah.
um, and it was the first run I had since I was in the hospital for my colitis. First long run I've had since I was in the hospital. And, I'm going into it, of course, my brain, like I was procrastinating a little bit getting out of the hospital and start doing the dishes or
Yeah.
this, I got to wipe this down. Like you start like looking for shit to kind of delay. And it's like, all right, just get the fuck outside and go, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so, um, yeah, so sometimes too, I wanted to mention earlier, sometimes we may not, like our run may not go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
We might not think we're getting the results we need, or we might not feel like we're getting stronger from some of these things. But there's a lot of times too where you're going to go through some of these hard training sessions, and believe it or not, you might not get much out of it physically, but the mental part of it, like you just pushed through something hard. You could have quit. You could have went home with 18 miles, but you stayed and did another 2 miles. Like that does not go to waste. Like that is phenomenal. Like that's where you build that belief during training. You know what I mean? Like you may not, before you start your training block, you may not have the confidence like, oh, I wonder if I could, but if you put the work in and you're going to have days where your body might not be at its best, or your mindset might not be at its best, but those harder days, those days that maybe the old you might have just said, oh, you know what, today's not the day, and you override that governor, that voice in your head that says, oh, you've done enough, or just take it easy. That's huge. It's all about, building, you build the belief, you build the confidence, you build all these things. Um, I'm not talented, I'm not special, I'm not anything, but what I am is consistent, and I will push through certain things for that mental edge. Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? Like you get to a certain point in a race, like for instance, your leg swells up, or you got excruciating pains in your legs. Like, well, David Goggins talks about the cookie jar. Well, you put
Mm.
some of these runs in that have been miserable and awful, but you pushed through and got through it somehow in your cookie jar. And then when you get through some of these tough times, you remember back, oh wow, man, you know what? I was running in 105-degree heat,
Yeah.
body's cramping, dry heaving, but I got it done. I could fucking this isn't as bad as that was. So, it starts to you can start to kind of silence it just with what you've built in your resume.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, um, it's like anything else, right?
Yeah.
The more you do, the more confident you get, the better you get. You learn. You're not gonna have all the answers. You're not gonna know what you're doing. You're not gonna know anything. But what you can do is just start. Do you have a pair of shoes? Do you
Right.
have
Right.
a
Right.
floor? Do you have a floor in your place? You can do push-ups. Do
Yeah.
you have There's always something you can do. And like you said earlier, man, the conditions are never going to be perfect.
No.
Um,
Yeah, finding the time for it too. I always used to use the excuse of, well, I don't have enough time and things like that. Especially I have kids. But that I found it was always an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really wanted to fit it in, and listen,
yeah,
everybody's
you
story
make
is
time.
different.
You
You know,
make time.
you make time for what you want to do in life and things like that. And then something that we've talked about here on this show and the Mental Mondays is that you need to prioritize yourself. Fitness is one of those ways in which you prioritize yourself, because again, you don't have your health, you don't have anything. I don't care how much money you have in the world, it means absolutely zero if you don't have your health and
Health is wealth, right?
that's it, man. It really is. It really is. I don't care, how much money you make. Yeah, it doesn't, or how much money you got. If you don't got your health, good night. So you have to prioritize yourself. You have to make the time for yourself. And I used to make a lot of excuses for myself, and I'm still trying to balance that and trying to make time
Yeah,
for
it's an
things. And
everyday grind.
yeah,
You learn how life is tough, man, and things come up and things pop up, and you know what? Sometimes maybe something will come up where you literally can't
right,
do what you
yeah,
have to do today. God forbid, a family member, something, you have to go to the hospital. You have to,
right,
yada, yada, Um, so that's also another reason why the days that you do, you got to make count,
yeah,
because
yeah.
never, like, that's why I don't necessarily always plan. I mean, some days I'll say like, okay, 3 weeks from today, I'll take a day but you do this every day so that, like, you know what, if something either crazy or just something. Oh, you know what? 3 weeks from today, my buddy's getting honored or inducted or this yada yada yada. Like, okay, you know what? Like, I haven't taken a rest day. A rest day might do me some good, and I'm doing it for a good reason. Um,
Yeah.
so you work every day, not with that day like, oh, I need a day off. I need a day off. But then, when something comes up, you don't feel guilty for taking a day off because it's not you know so some people may say, oh, you know what, just get up at 3 in the morning and run then and this and
Mm.
that, and I get that aspect. It's,
Well, sometimes rest is warranted, or whatever whatever
but
it is,
also if you're not getting enough rest either, you're not recovering either.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
uh, I'm out of the house for work at 5:15 in the morning. I'm up pretty early, and and then my day's pretty long, 12, sometimes longer hours, depending on commute and work. And I usually do my training after.
mm. Yeah,
I'm sure some people disagree, like, oh, you should push yourself and get up at 3 or 2:30 and do, but then I'm not getting the rest I need also. So I'm okay with how I have my schedule set up. But it was something that bothered me in the beginning. Like, I've always struggled a little bit with getting to sleep and my sleep and there were days where like I would try to fit in the run super early in the morning, and it just, I would beat myself up over it. Like, oh, you should be running at 2 in the morning. You should be running. And then I was like, okay, well, take a step back, and you're still putting in the work, right? You're still getting the mileage you want. You're still training. You're still doing everything you would have done, say, at 2:30 in the morning. You're just doing it after work. And some people don't like that because they feel like they're more tired after work. So, you find for you, right?
For sure. I mean, like, I don't know, like running, as much as I love a good morning run, but like for me, getting up early before work, like it's cutting into my natural sleep time. It's not easy, for me to get going at that time. Could I do it? I could. I don't mind running after work. Unless it comes into play with my family dynamic, and just for whatever reason, it just makes more sense to do it earlier, before the work shift. It's not ideal for me because I feel tired going into that shift. Do I feel accomplished? Oh yeah, I feel accomplished. Woke up early, went for a run. Here I am. It's still, the day's just begun, and I've already put my work in. It makes me feel good. But yeah, like, makes me tired at work. So it's like whatever works for you, and just finding the time to do it, is really all that matters. Everybody's different. Everybody's different in this. You want to wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever, hit the gym. I mean, more power to you. Doesn't make it better that you do it in the morning or you do it in the afternoon. Whatever fits your dynamic. I mean, that's, it's important.
And I'm up early. I mean, I'm out of the house for work at 5:15 in the morning. So,
right.
I know some wake up at 5 and go to the gym. I'm waking up at 4 something or 5.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough, bro.
Going to work. So I am doing something like at that early time. I'm just not running at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I run and it works out to the point where like I end up usually running most of the time in the hottest part of the day on the weekends. So also like like getting up in the morning is a struggle sometimes for me, but sometimes even when I'm up, I can't just go out. With my stomach issues, like it takes a little while for me to kind of, I end up going to the bathroom usually at least a few times first thing in the morning. And if I'm in a spot where I don't have a bathroom nearby, I'm fucked. So
Right.
I don't leave the house until I've at least gone a couple times to give me a little bit of a buffer when I'm out. And don't get me wrong, I could go 3 times before I go out, and then mile 5, I'm in the bathroom again. So
yeah.
Some of my, I guess it's also an excuse, but some of my not getting up and getting out is a little bit of, okay, I need like an hour and a half or 2 hours to kind of make sure my stomach's all right, and then I go out.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that an excuse, bro. That's just you, doing what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? And again, if it works for you, you don't mind, wait until the afternoon or whatever it is. Nothing wrong with that. What's the mindset for you going into these races? Like, what's the preparation for that? You say you deal with the stomach issues that bad, and on pretty much any race starts really early in the morning. Sometimes even maybe like a midnight start. So like, what's that mindset for you? Like, what time? Like, say if the race is like 7 a.m., what time are you waking up to prep for that?
Okay, so I tend to race day. I tend to get up earlier. So say it's a start time at 6:30, whatever. I'm up at 4, and then I'm not drinking coffee to wake up. I'm drinking coffee to flush out.
Yeah.
I'm ready. So I get up and I drink coffee immediately, and but I don't. So the day before, also the week leading up to these races, I'm not doing a ton of exercise either. So I don't have that calorie intake that I really need during training. So the day before, so I usually something I did before my first ultra. It worked great for me, so I kind of now do it before every race. I go vegan like the week before a race.
Hey, you were telling me,
So it for some reason it works for me. When the first time I did it, I got a jolt in energy like I can't even explain, like borderline meth. Like I never did meth, but it was like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm like blinking, like I'm wired, like just the lack of. So your body tends to use energy when it digests anything, right? So
yeah, yep.
tends to take a little longer to digest. Now I love meat; I never give it up. But prior to races, I do. So from what I understand, it thins out your blood. Blood seems to travel a little faster, smoother. You don't waste much energy digesting because vegetables tend to digest a little quicker. So
Yeah.
more carbs and vegetables prior to the race leading up. I'm also not beating the shit out of my body the week of the race. So so I hit that start line most of the times um, ready to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Now the last race, I woke up sick a few days before. So the morning of the race, I was coughing up green shit and I was a little congested and, it wasn't 100%, but, I don't know if you've ever seen the Jocko Good video, but so
No.
I remember you haven't or you
No.
have?
No. No. No.
All right, I'll send that to you then after
Yeah.
this. But so it's a phenomenal video. It fires me up. And, so it was like 2 or 3 days before this past 100 miler, and I remember I'm in a group chat with some of my friends, and I was like, I woke up. I was like, oh man, I woke up sick. Actually, initially when I did, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want to give it any energy. I didn't even want to really say it out loud. But as the day went through, I was like, we were just talking about stuff. They're asking me questions about the race, yada yada yada. So I was like, yeah, woke up sick. I horrible cough. I just feel like crap, and this group text I'm in is with few of my friends who are in very similar mindsets, and we talk about books, we talk about training, we talk about a lot of stuff, mental health, pushing yourself, books, podcasts, all different types of things. And I think when I text like, I'm sick, I guess I was kind of expecting like, oh man, just it's all right, like you'll be fine. Like, but I got good. Like I was like, oh, I feel like shit. I'm sick, and I got good, good, and good, and I was like, all right. So they kind of like, I mean, not that I was focused on. I mean, I was doing the race anyway. I wasn't, it wasn't something like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't train for all this time to let like a little cold. It was more than a cold, but to
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
something like that kind of knock me off. So I won't lie and say that, little things didn't creep in my head like, oh, you're breathing, you're this, you're that. But they helped me when they were saying good, good, good. I kind of laughed and was like, no, you're right. Okay, now figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so now
Yeah.
it might
Yeah.
be a bit harder or a little whatever, but just like anything else, you find a way and figure it out. So immediately I just started pounding ginger and like vitamin C and all different types of things to try to help the issue. And come race day, I felt a little better, but I was coughing stuff up, and
Yeah.
I wasn't great, but I wasn't. I was good enough. I took a Tylenol to help with a little bit of the body aches, and it was kind of business as usual. And that race was in December. That was in Virginia, and I think when we started the race, it was like 19, 20 degrees,
Yeah.
so it was cold.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Right.
um, but yeah, the weather, it was cold, but it was kind of like, I don't want to say it was a non-factor, but like, you dress accordingly. I wore gloves. You know, um,
Yeah.
it was just, it is what it is. Like, you can't control the weather on race day, so
No.
why get yourself. I remember my first race ever was a half marathon, and I didn't even know I signed up for a trail race but it was a trail race, and it was a monsoon. Like it was insane raining, and it was a ridiculously tough course. Thankfully, I did check the race email like a week prior, and I said, "Oh, it's a trail race." I didn't even know what a trail race was, but
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to somebody, and I was like, get yourself a pair of trail shoes. Now, had I not gotten a pair of trail shoes, who knows how that race would have went? Because like, I remember the run up a hill and sliding down, like it was blinding weather. But then when I finished, I was like, "Ooh, that was awesome," And that first race, and then since then, I've okay, now what more can I do? What more can I do? How can I push myself further? How can and then I did a couple of marathons. From half marathon, I skipped the marathon and I went to 50K. I did my first 50K, and then I did a couple 50-milers. That led into, then I was like, oh, if I could do 50, maybe I could do 100. So that's when I signed up for my first 100-miler. Trained my ass off, and thankfully I was able to finish the first one, and then I suffered big time the last 30 miles. And I'll be honest, when I finished, you get a lot of people that say, you finish the race, and then immediately they're like, oh, I want to do another one.
Yeah.
Well, I had to heal a little bit, like mentally. Like I was like, fuck, man. Do I really want to do this again? Like that was like that. So it literally, I didn't sign up for another 100-miler right away, but I eventually I got that itch again, and it was like, oh, you got through the first one, you can get through the second one. Totally different courses, totally different. Like the first one was flatter. Second one had more hills. Was like the second one was 103 miles with 10,300 feet of gain. The first one was 101 miles with probably like 1,900, so it was mostly flat.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And each one is hard in its own way. So some people may think like, oh, it's flat, it's probably easier. It's quicker. Sure. I wouldn't necessarily say easier, because you are just pounding those same muscle groups.
Yeah, and it's still 100 freaking miles.
It's your meniscus. It's your, whereas when you go up and down hills, okay, your quad takes over, your hamstrings, like you go through different muscles. I mean, you're beating up your whole body, but it's a little different as far as when it's flat, you're just the same motion.
Right.
27 hours, just boom, boom. You know what I mean? I remember after my first one, I sat down, and within 5 to 10 minutes, my knees just like tripled in size, and then I had to be carried to the car. On the ride home, I'm throwing up, but like happier than a pig in shit, but going through it, like my body was broken. I couldn't put shoes on, like my feet were so swollen, my ankles, my knees. I had blisters. I remember popping one blister, and like the whole bottom of underneath my toes just came off. I think I lost like 3 or 4 toenails in the next couple weeks. But it's all stuff that I signed up for, right? So I could go ahead and say, oh, poor, but like you fucking signed up for it. Not only did you sign up for it, you paid.
You paid, yeah, and a pretty hefty amount too.
So exactly. I didn't just sign up. I fucking gave you money so I could put myself through the ring.
It's hilarious, man. When for an outsider, perspective, just listening to this or tuning in, especially somebody that doesn't run or anything, a lot of them, they just call you crazy. It's like, why would you want to do that? But then when you actually experience it, or firsthand, or you're observing somebody go through
right.
it.
I get called that a lot. Some people are like, oh, you're nuts. Why would you ever want to do something like that? Why? Yeah. I get, like, I can understand like running something, but why the hell would you? And then I tell them, I say, I
Oh, did we lose you there for a second? Hold on, Kev. I think we lost you. We lost your audio real quick. Reset the audio for me, bro. We're just about to get out of here, everybody. It's been a great show with Kev.
All right, I'm back.
There you go. That's better again. All right, beautiful, beautiful.
Somebody called me and it kind of knocked me off track for a second.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
We're back, right? We're back. We're good.
You're all good. You're all good. We're not gonna be going too much longer. We have been going, I think, for about an hour and a half now. I know we had those technical difficulties, and the stream has been up for 2 hours now, but I think we had like about a 30-minute delay overall with the rough start and some of the technical difficulties with your audio. But again, Kev, I just want to thank you again for coming on today and talking about your journey and everything you've been through. You know, can't thank you enough for what you have helped me with my journey in running and in life. You know, and my approach to things, it certainly has changed my mindset, not only with the running journey, but the way I handle this podcast, the way I handle my show. You know, doing the hard things. You know, taking the time and just doing it, man. Some days, you know, I don't necessarily wanna edit video or go on and do a show, or I'm not just like. It's not ideal conditions, right? Today I'm a little sick. I'm coughing over here. I've got the lozenges. It's like, man, my throat is killing me. But I'm here. I'm showing up, and your influence has certainly mattered along my journey. And I just can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your whole story.
Even if it reaches one person, and that's like I've always liked helping people, and I didn't know this was going to turn into something that would help others. Like I remember prior to even starting this, when I had lost my career, like I was kind of thinking like, oh, I'd love to help people. I'd love to this. I'd love to this. And when I started reading Goggins' first book, is an audio book, and he kind of there's some he's got like challenges and little things in it. And he knew exactly what he was doing. You kind of make yourself vulnerable. You put yourself out there. And I started documenting this journey on social media. And only a couple weeks in, I was getting messages from people like, "Oh man, you're inspiring me to do this, to start this." And I was like, "Me?" Like,
yeah.
It's hard to hear. And now, like, I've had so many people reach out to me and telling me, I've helped them with this or I've helped them with this just by showing up every day and just staying consistent and just pushing myself to do things that, not everybody does, or just with mindset things. And, it's changed my life. I mean, I get so much out of like those text messages, like just fire me up and just make me want to even push even harder. Somebody says, "Oh, excuse me. I'm struggling with substance abuse at the moment, or I'm struggling with getting out of the house, or I'm struggling with depression, or I'm struggling with this." And then finding out that, like just me running and sharing my journey and what I've learned along the way, and they say, like it's helping me, it's inspiring me, it's motivating me. Like, I love that. Well, I didn't, this was going to turn into something that I'd be helping people just by helping myself, and trying to better myself, that the residual effects would be helping others as well. So it's, this journey is I'm still new in it. The future is bright, and of course I'm going to come through trials, and stuff's going to come up and stuff's going to happen, and how we react to those things is really what makes us, and who we truly are. A lot of people, you can say as much as you want till your face is blue, but if people don't see action and don't see the work actually being put in, then it's just hearsay. But if you just show up every day, and if you just do a little bit every day, those little bits tend to add into big gains. So
yes.
Don't be so hard on yourself either, where you think that, oh, I'm only doing a mile. A mile's a lot. A mile's a lot. A half a mile's a lot. Like I said earlier, like I couldn't do a half a mile. Now we're 4.5 years into this journey, and I've run probably, I think I'm upwhere near 12,500 miles in the last 4.5 years.
Really? I feel like you would hit more than that. I don't know. And it seems a little small in that sense, but no, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm at like now. Um, we've talked about there's been little things here and there where, maybe I haven't been able to put the amount of mileage in, or I'm recovering from an injury, or I'm biking, or I'm doing something else.
Yeah. No,
So, like this year, like I started this year on a great heater as far as training wise, where I was like, oh, I'm really gonna log a lot of miles this year, and then the gout came in, and then I had the bone spur, and then I had the hospital visit. So things come up,
you're
and
still doing a phenomenal job.
gotta deal with them as they come. And like I'm coming up on 2,000 miles for the year, which I plan to be. When the year started, I wanted to be closer to 3,000 maybe by now, or maybe at. So like things come up, and you just you can't plan everything ahead because you don't know what life has in store for you. So I gotta do what I gotta do at this moment. I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. Can't focus on the past too much because you don't want to get into the weeds with that where oh well, I should be here, well,
yeah, man, those stories we tell ourselves, right, that we get stuck in our head, man. That's a bad place to be. You don't want to be there. For sure,
man. And a lot of those voices, a lot of that shit that you hear in your head, man, it's lies. It's lies. It's drawn in stories that your brain has kind of, your brain can be your best friend, but it also could be your worst enemy. I mean, we've all dealt with that. Anybody that's dealt with anything. Every person on earth deals with some type of mental something. I mean, even the people
we're human, man.
Have it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out. Some people hide it better than others. We're all going through stuff. That's why we're all in this together too, man. There's enough cake for everybody to eat. So
indeed.
You got help people when you can. Be a good human. Just hold yourself. Do things also when people aren't looking. Like you might be this nice guy when you're on camera or when everybody's looking, but how do you treat people when nobody's looking? Do you help somebody that might need help? Do you reach out to a friend that needs somebody to talk to? Like all these type of things. Like just hold yourself accountable and just try to be the best version of yourself. I mean, some people may be struggling right now, and you know what? You're gonna get through it. It hasn't taken you out yet. You're still breathing. You're still alive, and you just gotta understand too. One quote that I love is "No storm lasts forever." Right. So it may be cloudy, it may be rainy for a while, but eventually that sun comes out.
Right.
And you gotta gotta try to focus on something that gives you hope. There's a way to flip it. Maybe you're being tested at this moment. Maybe this is preparing me for something else. I've been through all this shit. I'm tougher than my feelings. I'm tougher than this situation that I'm dealing with right now. And, you'd be surprised what we can get through and what we can flip to a positive way.
Indeed.
You can use all this fuel. The good and the bad can all be used as fuel.
And running is the greatest story of that. Explains that journey, especially a marathoner, ultra marathoner. It's the epitome of life in that sense. I know we alluded to that earlier in the show, and that's just it, man. I couldn't put it any better than the way you just laid all that on the line right there for the people. I think we're gonna leave off on that note for everybody today for this show. Like I said, beautifully said. I would love to have you back, back on the show. We'll talk, even, bring you on the mental health Mondays, things like that. I know you got a lot to offer in that sense. And definitely we gotta get you back on after your ultra marathon. We gotta break that whole race down.
Do it.
And see how it went,
I had a great time today. This was great. It was super interactive. Questions are great. You also following up on some of the things I said. Like, this has been great. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a great. You're good at what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The art, just explaining some things to the audience, and we've dealt with some technical issues. And did you get a poopy pee and say, "Oh, I don't know"? No, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's
We
try this.
persevered, man. We persevered. We got through it.
We went from the computer to the computer with headphones to the phone with headphones, and then we figured out just the phone alone is good enough. So
That's it.
we got done. I had a great time. I appreciate you having me on. It means a lot. Like it's hard to believe that that I'm on a podcast sharing my story.
Yeah.
That same dude 5-6 years ago that had no hope and was just in his own shit, and now being asked to come on to share my journey because they think it might help people is awesome. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words also that you always have for me, but that that you've also said on this podcast. And we went from you reaching out to me a little bit about some training questions and some stuff to a phone call to now, like, we talk regularly. I mean, you were calling me and texting me while I was in the hospital. Like, we've become friends. So this is awesome. I mean, I've met some phenomenal people just through social media, just through comments and this and that. And yeah, I mean,
It's a beautiful thing, man.
Like-minded people kind of come together, and your energy attracts people. Your energy attracts energy. So like this, so I'm meeting people who are in the similar mindset. That they're not just the running, but just people that are focused on just getting better, and that positive mindset. And you put out that good energy, you get it back. And I put out that energy, and and now I don't think it's a coincidence that we've become friends, and that we kind of have now a little bit of a history, in a sense of where we've talked about training, we've talked about some of the drug abuse and the different stuff. And you'll talk to me about what's going on, and you're like, it's great. I know social media gets a bad rap for a lot of things, but it's also really great for a lot of things.
Can be a very very positive tool, and I promise you, man, it's the reason why I started doing these shows. Not only just for me, but knowing that if it makes somebody laugh or can help somebody in some sort of way, then it was all worth it. And it really, even if it was just one person, and I know for sure, and I could promise you this episode will reach out to a lot of people, and it will help a lot of people. And I can't thank you enough for coming on.
And anybody out there, he's gonna put my Instagram tag. Like, if there's anything I may be able to help you with, I may not be able to help you with, but don't be shy. Like, I have no problem jumping on a phone call with you if you're, if you have questions about running or anything, or reach out to me, DM me. I love sharing the stuff that I learned to help other people. I don't keep anything in, like, oh, I don't want to give this person that tool that I use to get past this, because then I want everybody to succeed, and I have a good group of friends too that want to see me succeed, that push me to be better, that, find those people that are gonna, that aren't gonna say, oh, you know what, you've done enough. Find those people that are gonna say, all right, so what's next? Next? Or gonna help you when you need somebody to talk to. Like, gravitate towards those people with that positive growth mindset. Or sometimes you may have a friend that's struggling. Reach out to them. Sometimes they just need to hear. I listened to a great podcast the other day. Sometimes they need somebody to sit in the mud with them.
No doubt. No doubt.
Somebody to listen. They need to get it off their chest. They're not always looking for advice. If you just need to bounce a couple things off, and what, I just need to type it and say it, that's fine. But reach out to me. I'm here. I'm available. Maybe I'll even see you at a race one day.
I had your I had your name up there. I had your page up there for everybody. So Definitely check it up, everybody. K-Mac Runs 82. All right. Kev, just got to thank you again for coming on today. It was a beautiful show.
This is good for me too, like getting stuff off my chest, talking about it. I need to hear some of these things too. Like, sometimes the stuff I share isn't just because it's not because I figured it out. It's also for me, but
Yeah.
it's also for other people as well. So, this is the type of stuff that's helped me. So that's why I share it. So it's helped me. It also is therapeutic to put it out there and talk about it. And, maybe somebody might come across it and it might help somebody. So, we're all in this journey together, man, and life is tough, and it's tougher when you're alone, and it's tougher when you feel like you're alone. So, know that you're not alone. If there's something I can help you with, if you're struggling with, please reach out to me, or Matt, even Matt too. I mean,
as always, you could always reach out to us here at Epis Radio. We are always available for you, both me and my co-host W. Dubois. We're an open book. Reach out, DM me. Those of you who got my number, feel free. You could always contact me at any time. If I'm available, or even if I'm not, I promise you I will get to you. We've received a lot of messages, ever since we started the show, and we always appreciate that that support. And again, if you just wanted something you want to get your chest off of and just talk about, by all means, we're here for you. This is what this show's all about. This is what platform's all about, and meeting my like-minded people like Kevin, and promoting him, and him offering. It's just it's a beautiful thing. You gotta love it. Everybody, that's it for us today. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. All right, I know it's a heavy conversation about running and ultra. We'll get to the sports later. The sports ain't going nowhere. We'll be back towards talking about that later on this week. All right, definitely join us tomorrow. All right, for Mental Mondays. All right, I know I'll have a new video out for you guys for that as well. Gonna be a good one. I know we weren't able to do last Mental Health Monday because of the streaming issues that we had, but we're backing up and running. I know the YouTube servers, that's still an issue as is, but I promise you we'll be there for the Mental Mondays with Epis tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, so join us for that. That's it, everybody. Kev, one last message for the people before we get out.
All right, so just start to believe in yourself is what I really want to say. Is something I feel like that's important. I know sometimes it feels like you don't have much at the moment to really, but perspective is everything, and just showing up every day, being consistent will 100% change your life. You start building habits, start acquiring some discipline, and you'll just, trust me, man, things just start opening up. And keep your head up, because with your head down, you're not gonna be able to see all these things that are coming at you. So when your head is up, you can see all the blessings, all the good things that are around. With your head down, you're ignoring all the things that may help you.
That's a very good point, my friend.
And I would say, if you're struggling right now, hang in there. It will get better. But also, there's things, we all know, most of us know what we need to do, and when we're in a rut or when we're in, it's so much harder to do those things, but hang in there. Like Matt always says, keep showing up, and, there's people out there that care about you and that want to see you grow, and, reach out to them too. Like if you're really in a tough spot, don't keep it in.
Yeah.
Reach out, try to get help, and just work on yourself physically, mentally, try to push yourself. I'm a big believer in doing hard things. I feel like overcoming adversity in any aspect, whether it's running, doing a project for work or anything, there's benefits in it all.
Right.
So
no doubt, man. Beautifully put, bro.
Keep hammering, and see you again soon. And again, if there's anything I can ever help anybody with, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here. And yeah, man, just keep showing up.
There it is, baby. Keep showing up. All right, K-Mac. Appreciate you, man. His handle right there on the screen for you. K-Mac Runs 82. All right, if you guys came in late or, you watch it in post, check out the full episode, all right? It's a long discussion, a good one at that. Especially if you're into endurance sports. We kind of break all of that down for you. So, until next time, Kev, I appreciate you coming on. Don't go anywhere as I hit this outro. I'm going to talk to you in post. And for everybody else out there, have a beautiful Sunday. Have a great end to your weekend. And have a beautiful week ahead. Join us tomorrow night if you can for the Mental Mondays with Epis at 10 p.m. Eastern. If not, I'll see you next time. Keep showing up, everybody. Have a beautiful.
Guys, thanks for listening.
You can't remember where it was. Has this dream stopped?
Broadcasting from the capital of sports, it's the Matty B Show. Right here on Epis Sports Radio. Matty B. On Epis Sports
And it's swung on and hit in the air. To deep right center. That ball is high. That is far. It is gone.
Very deep is right, hits one deep to left field. Headley back near the wall. It's in the air! A Mets win the ball game!
A 60-point game for Crohn.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Eric Decker
Wherever
holds
you
it in.
are, keep showing
The
up.
Jets win
Do
in
hard
overtime.
things. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Thank you, Kev, for coming on today's show. Have a good one, everybody.